Hello everyone and welcome to yet another game devlog video where I take you through my journey of making project cards. In today's episode, we are going to take a look at a number of features that I have implemented over this week, which will represent the foundation of our game. I was able to take care of a good number of tasks that I had planned on doing, and the final result ended up looking pretty good. But before we get there, let's start with the beginning. Like I said in the last episode, I will be using a Trello board to keep track of all the features that I need to implement. It will also allow me to record the progress that I was able to make. The link for the board will be available in the description below in case that anyone is interested in taking a look. The first task on our list is creating the quote-unquote board on which the game is going to be played. Now, since this is a card game, I want to have a top-down perspective for it. Also, I want the height and width of our board to fit the camera's viewport. To achieve this, we need to use some trigonometry equations. And here we have it. Finally, let's add some placeholder texture to the whole thing. Next task on our list is adding some cards to the board we have just created. The way cards will work in our game looks something like this. We will have all our cards' information stored in the database, and we will be sending that information to the server when requested. The server then will send the data further to the client when he needs to use the respective card. After a bit of work, I had the implementation dealt with. We still need to add informations about each card's abilities, but we will do that a bit later. To finish, let's give each card its own texture so they look a tad nicer. Since I'm not really good at making art, I have decided to use some from Magic the Gathering. I will be using that as placeholder until I am able to come up with something myself. And with this, we have our second task done. Tomorrow we'll be taking a look into our next one. In Hearthstone and in most other card games out there, the cards usually sit at the bottom of each player's board and they are arranged based on their total number. I have decided to implement the same feature for my game as well. The goal with this one is to make an algorithm that allows me to quickly and easily change things like the distance between cards or the inclination of each card. Now that we have our task, let's get to work. There are three main components we need to play around with. First is the x-axis, which will be used to specify distance between cards. Second is the z-axis, meaning how high or how low will the cards sit on the screen. Third and last will be the rotation quaternion on the y-axis. This is used to determine the tilt for each card. This is the final result, and for now it looks good enough. We will come back to this algorithm later and change things around when we have more components on the board. And with this we just finished another task. Now we get to the more interesting functionalities. What we have until now looks good, but it doesn't look very much like a game. The problem is that we have no ways to interact with our scene. The first most basic thing we need to implement is a way for the player to drag the cards around. There is a drag functionality that already exists in the Babylon.js framework, but sadly it is a bit limited. Because of this, I have decided to write my own implementation. For this one, we use something called linear interpolation. The concept in itself isn't really all that complicated. To put it in simpler terms, let's say we have 2 points, A and B. If we know both the x and y coordinates for those 2 points, it means that we can find the coordinates for any other point situated on the line between them. Now, in our case, A will be our card's position and B the position of the mouse. The card will go from one side to the other while passing through a number of intermediate positions. Depending on what we want, we can make the card go faster, hence passing through less intermediate points, or slower, which creates a cool lag behind effect. Again, none of these implementations are final and will most likely suffer some slight modifications. And with that, the final task for this week is finished. There is still a lot of work left to be done, but right now I think we have a good starting point. I ended up spending Friday as well as the weekend editing this video and preparing it for YouTube. Overall, this was an amazing week. I was able to implement some of the main components for the game and put the foundations for the features to come. Sadly though, this will be the end of this episode. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Take care everyone.